Chosen one, listen closely. You are not here by accident. The moment your eyes found this video, something ancient stirred in the universe. A call echoed through the silence of time and space, meant only for you. This is no ordinary message. This is a divine summons, a sacred challenge whispered from the realms of destiny. The title is not a metaphor. God demands you pass this, because what lies on the other side is not simply wealth and power. It is the life you were always meant to live, fully awakened, divinely guided, and infinitely abundant. This challenge is sacred, and not everyone is chosen to hear it, but you are. You are standing at a spiritual threshold, one that demands your total focus and your complete energy. Before we go any further, I must ask you to do something powerful. Watch this video to the very end, because each moment has been designed to unlock the next door of your soul. And in the comments, share your warmest, most heartfelt wish, the one that burns deepest inside you, and write the number 77 alongside it. 77 is the number of divine alignment, of heavenly intervention. When you write it, you send a signal to the higher realms. I am ready. This small act is not just symbolic, it is energetic. You are activating something profound. Your wish is not just being heard, it's being ignited. Now let us continue. You have felt it before, the deep knowing that you were made for more, that this world, with all its limits and illusions, is not the whole truth of your existence, that inside you is a force untamed, a light unbroken, a destiny unfulfilled. The wealth and power waiting for you are not rewards in the traditional sense. They are the natural consequences of answering your divine assignment. But the path to them is narrow. It is guarded by tests, sacred thresholds, and moments that demand everything from you. You have already walked through many of these trials without realizing what they were. The betrayal you survived, the moment you were overlooked, the night you cried alone, asking for a sign, those were not random. They were initiations. God was watching. Heaven was recording. The universe was measuring your strength. Every step brought you closer to this moment. And now, the divine command is clear. You must pass this final challenge. It may not come in the way you expect. It might be silence. It might be delay. It might be a moment of loss or confusion. But hidden in that test is your breakthrough. This is not about religion or rituals. This is about alignment, cosmic, spiritual, energetic. You must hold the frequency of belief, even when nothing in the physical world confirms it. That is the sacred demand. Can you walk by faith when the path is invisible? Can you trust the divine plan, even when it feels like nothing is working? That is what separates those who claim their destiny from those who remain in the shadows of their potential. You see, wealth in the spiritual sense is not money alone. It is energy. It is divine flow. It is the power to create, to expand, to manifest. And yes, it will show up in your life as financial abundance, as opportunity, as influence, as resources. But that's just the outer result. The inner shift is what matters. That shift happens when you say yes to the challenge, not with your words, but with your spirit, with your choices, with your courage. The power you seek is already within you, but it must be activated, and God will not activate what you refuse to carry with honor. That's why the test is not optional. You must pass through it. You must rise when it's easier to hide. You must speak life when others speak doubt. You must walk boldly when fear clutches your ankles. This is the moment of your divine separation. When heaven decides that you are not just another soul wandering the earth, but a chosen one, called to reign. You were not meant to live in lack. You were not meant to beg the universe for scraps. You were designed to command miracles, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. When you align with your divine path, the heavens open, doors appear, people show up, ideas become income, influence becomes impact. But that all follows the one sacred requirement: pass the challenge. Trust the test. Let it refine you, not destroy you. You are being prepared for wealth that does not just bless your life, but changes lives around you. This is kingdom energy, the type of wealth that multiplies, that heals, that uplifts, the type of power that reshapes generations. And God cannot place that kind of fire in just anyone. Only those who are willing to be forged. Only those who are willing to obey the inner knowing even when the outer world laughs at them. You must choose to walk forward anyway. You may feel tired. You may feel like nothing is happening. But I promise you, chosen one, the challenge is the key. Pass it, and everything changes. The reason it feels so intense now is because the breakthrough is so close. The greater the resistance, the closer the opening. The heavier the pressure, the more precious the promise. Every test has a spiritual pattern. In the moment when you feel most forgotten, most unseen, most pressed, that is when you must rise. That is when you must declare, I will pass this. I will not quit. I will not doubt. I will not go back to the old version of me, because that version is not equipped to carry what's coming. You must become new to hold the new. You must let go of victimhood, of fear, of scarcity, of needing to be liked, of needing proof. Those are weights you cannot take through the next gate. And yes, it will be hard, but you are not alone. The moment you said yes to this path, divine forces surrounded you. Angels are near. Power is near. You are being held, even if you can't feel it. You are being guided, even if the path seems dim. This is the sacred moment where you prove not to the world, but to yourself, that you are ready, that you are trustworthy, that you are faithful with the dream placed inside you. So do not stop. Do not doubt. You are closer than you think. The wealth you seek is already seeking you, but it is waiting on your alignment, on your courage, on your decision to pass this, not by might, not by logic, but by the fire of your spirit and the certainty of your soul. This is your moment. Pass the test. Everything you desire is waiting. You are still here. That means something. It means you have not backed down. It means your spirit is listening. And that quiet voice inside you, the one that won't let you settle, the one that whispers, "There's more," is not your imagination. It is the divine calling you forward. In a world where millions are asleep, you are waking up. In a world driven by noise, you are tuning into the signal. And the signal is this: the challenge is not punishment, it is promotion disguised as resistance. There is a reason you feel the pressure. There is a reason old wounds are resurfacing. You are being stripped of what cannot follow you into the next chapter. This is not a breakdown. This is divine alignment in motion. The people who ghosted you, part of the process. The delays that made no sense, training grounds for patience. The disappointments, invitations to clarity. Every unanswered prayer was actually a redirection toward your true inheritance. You must understand this. God does not waste pain. Everything you've been through is part of the refinement. You are not broken, you are being sculpted, molded, pressed into precision. Because where you're going, you will need discernment. You will need strength. You will need to know what you carry so no one can convince you otherwise. You are not being punished, you are being qualified. And that is why you cannot quit now. This is the sacred edge, the spiritual threshold. On one side is everything you've known: survival, struggle, false starts. On the other side is everything you've dreamed: ease, flow, abundance, clarity. But the bridge between these two worlds is not made of logic. It is made of surrender, of devotion, of daring to believe in what your eyes cannot yet see. You've done the outer work. You've tried the strategies, the plans, the constant doing. But now the invitation is deeper. This challenge is not about effort. It is about embodiment. Can you become the version of yourself that already has it? The wealth, the influence, the peace before it arrives. Can you match the vibration of your destiny before it manifests in the physical? Because this is the secret most never understand. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And right now, the divine demand is not for hustle, but for identity shift. You must become her. You must become him. The version of you that leads without apology, that speaks truth without fear, that receives without guilt, that walks into rooms and shifts as atmospheres. Chosen one, this challenge is sculpting that version of you. And yes, it may feel like everything is crumbling, but that's how new foundations are laid. The old must fall. The lie that says you're not enough, it must fall. The illusion that says wealth is for others, it must fall. The fear that whispers you'll fail, it must fall. All of it. Because your energy is sacred real estate. And heaven cannot build the palace of your purpose on ground still crowded with past rubble. You are being emptied so you can be filled. And when you start to feel the loneliness of this path, because you will, remember this: few are chosen because few are willing. Most want the blessings. Few want the becoming. Most want the crown. Few want the cross. But you are different. You were not born for average. You were born for legacy, for kingdom, for impact. That means your preparation must be divine. It will not look like others. It will not feel fair, but it will be worth it. Because the wealth and power that are waiting for you, they are heavy. They require maturity. They require purity of intention. They require spiritual stamina. You cannot carry divine authority with a wounded ego. You cannot multiply abundance while still bound by scarcity. That is why your healing is being accelerated. That is why things are surfacing now that you thought were long buried. The light of your calling is too bright for you to carry shadows into it. You are not here to merely survive life. You are here to command it. You are here to break generational limits, to dismantle fear-based thinking, to show what happens when someone fully aligns with the divine. And for that, the test must be real. It must reach the places in you that you've kept hidden, the places you protect, the places you still doubt, because those are the very areas where your power is sleeping. This challenge will wake it up. You may lose some people in this season. That's okay. Their part in your story has ended. You may be misunderstood. That's okay. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be experienced. You may feel the weight of the unknown pressing on you like fog. That's okay. Walk anyway, speak anyway, create anyway, obey anyway. The way will clear as you move. There are blessings that only appear to the obedient. There is provision you will never see until you step fully into your assignment. Wealth that was always yours, but it stayed in the spiritual realm. Waiting for the moment your belief became bold enough to draw it down. You are not waiting on money. Money is waiting on you. You are not hoping for power. Power is activated the moment you realize it is already within you. But none of it is automatic. The divine has no interest in spoiling you. This is about stewardship, not spoiling. If you are asking for wealth, prepare to manage it. If you are asking for influence, prepare to lead with humility. If you are asking for visibility, prepare to be tested in integrity. That's what this season is doing. It is refining you. It is sharpening you. It is stripping you of what is too small for the vision you carry. You are being trusted with more, but you must become more first. And so I say it again, pass the test. Feel the fear and rise anyway. Feel the uncertainty and obey anyway. Speak the vision when no one claps. Build the dream when no one sees. Walk the path when no one understands. That is how chosen ones are crowned, not in comfort, but in consecration. This is your moment. The heavens are watching. The universe is listening. Your future self is calling. Rise. You are not just enduring a moment. You are birthing a destiny. And with every breath you take in this sacred process, more of your divine self is emerging. The you that doubted is dissolving. The you that waited for permission is being dismantled. And what is being born in its place is unstoppable, undeniable, and unshakable. But don't be fooled. This stage is where most give up. This is the silent stretch of the journey, the place where nothing looks like progress and everything feels like pressure. But this is where gold is formed. Because power doesn't always come with a roar. Sometimes it comes in silence, when no one sees and no one affirms, and no doors open, but you choose to stand anyway. That choice, made again and again in the dark, becomes the foundation for a life that can carry divine power without breaking. This is where your capacity is expanding. You are being prepared to hold more, not through ease, but through pressure. Your soul is stretching. Your vision is maturing. You are being made ready for things too great to come quickly. If you could see the magnitude of what's on its way to you, you would understand the delay. There are movements that will be birthed through your obedience. There are people who will be healed by your courage. There are nations whose destinies will shift because you said yes to the challenge. This is not just about you. This is about the ripple effect of your decision to rise. That's why the test is so fierce, because your impact will be massive. You cannot afford to fold under pressure. You cannot afford to doubt now. The enemy of your destiny is not failure. It is forgetfulness. Forgetting who you are. Forgetting what you carry. Forgetting what has already been promised. That's why this challenge is laced with distractions, discouragement, and detours. Not because you are off track, but because you are too close to the opening, too close to the overflow, too close to the moment everything clicks into place. And so, the resistance increases, not to stop you, but to ask you, do you remember? Do you remember why you started? Do you remember the fire that once burned in you, before life tried to numb it? Do you remember the dream that wouldn't let go of you, even when it made no sense? That wasn't fantasy. That was prophecy. And now, it is knocking. Not gently, but fiercely. Because it knows the time is now. You must become immune to external validation. There will be moments on this path where no one claps, where no one understands, where no one offers you confirmation. And that's the point. You must become so rooted in divine alignment that applause becomes irrelevant. You don't need a crowd when you're carrying a kingdom. You don't need approval when you are assigned. And yes, there will be moments when you feel overlooked. But chosen ones are not made on stages. They are made in silence, in secret, in solitude. While others are chasing popularity, You are cultivating power. While others are chasing likes, you are building legacy. This path is lonely, but it is sacred. Do not despise the hidden season. It is not a punishment. It is a divine cocoon. God hides those He is preparing. You are not being delayed, you are being developed. There are things being placed inside you now that will carry you through the next decades. Wisdom, vision, resilience, discernment, peace that doesn't shake, confidence that doesn't scream, faith that doesn't flinch. And all of it is born through this, through the sacred challenge. You were not called to be average. You were not called to mimic others. You were not called to play small, to stay silent, to settle for what's safe. You are called to lead, to break cycles, to carry a frequency that makes fear tremble. But to do that, you must walk through the fire and trust that it's refining, not destroying you. You will not be destroyed. You will emerge clearer, brighter, sharper, freer. But first, the old has to die. The fear, the need to be understood, the addiction to certainty, the illusion that you need to figure it all out. You don't. You only need to stay aligned, to stay faithful, to stay open. God will do the heavy lifting, but you must remain available. That's what this challenge is really testing. Your availability. Are you available to move when it's uncomfortable? Are you available to trust when it's unclear? Are you available to be used in ways you didn't expect? To step into roles you didn't plan? To speak to people you didn't prepare for? Because the version of you who walks in divine wealth and power does not live a predictable life. They live a guided life, spirit-led, vision-fueled, purpose-driven. There will be detours. Let them happen. There will be delays. Let them teach you. There will be disappointments. Let them prune you. Nothing is wasted. Every chapter matters. Every step is data. And heaven never misses a detail. The things you thought were random were riddled with divine fingerprints. But now, the timeline is shifting. The pressure you feel is not random. It is an indication. You are being brought to the threshold. The realm of possibility is opening, but you must have the eyes to see it and the courage to step into it. The old life is behind you now. It can't be fixed. It can't be dragged forward. It must be left behind so the new one can rise. This is your crossing moment. It will not look like what you imagined, but it will be better. It will be quieter. It will be deeper. It will be so rooted in peace that you will wonder how you ever lived with so much anxiety before. That's the true mark of divine wealth. Not chaos, but clarity. Not noise, but knowing. Not striving, but stillness that multiplies. And the power, oh, the power. Not the kind that controls, but the kind that liberates. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that radiates. You will walk into rooms and shift atmospheres. You will speak and systems will shake. You will build and others will rise. Because your power is not just for you. It is a portal. It is a path. It is a permission slip for others to believe in something bigger. That is why you must pass this challenge. Not just for yourself, but for the ones watching you. For the ones who will never meet you, but will feel the impact of your obedience. For the lineage you are breaking free. For the legacy you are birthing. For the world that will be changed by your simple, sacred decision to not give up. This is not about hype. This is about destiny. And destiny never screams. It whispers. Listen, there comes a point in every chosen one's journey where the path becomes silent, not because you're lost, but because you're so close to the breakthrough that the noise must fall away. You are in that place now. The quiet before the doors swing open. the pause before the release, the stillness that surrounds the sacred. Don't mistake the silence for absence. It is divine design. You are being invited into deeper alignment. No more distractions, no more self-sabotage, no more looping in old stories. The challenge you face now is not to prove yourself to others. It is to prove to your own soul that you are ready to carry the weight of what you asked for, ready to handle the responsibility of being seen, being heard, being followed, being trusted. That readiness cannot be faked. It must be forged, and you are being forged in fire. This fire doesn't burn you. It builds you. It purifies you. It brings to the surface everything that can't stay. Old patterns, unconscious fears, deep-rooted doubt. The heat you're feeling is divine intelligence in motion, exposing what must be transformed so that your power can rise unchallenged. You prayed for greatness, and the divine said yes. But here's the truth: most don't speak. Greatness is not given. It is grown, and it grows through the challenge. There is no shortcut, no detour, no bypass. Every soul that was ever trusted with true wealth and power walked through this sacred fire. They faced the moments where nothing made sense, but they kept walking. They faced betrayal and chose love. They faced lack and chose abundance. They faced fear and chose faith. This is not about motivation. This is about transformation. Because wealth without identity is wasted. Power without purpose is dangerous. You are not being prepared for fleeting success. You are being prepared for eternal impact. That's why the process feels sacred and brutal at the same time. It is holy because it's heaven ordained, but it is heavy because your legacy is laced in it. There are no minor details now. Everything matters. How you speak, how you think, how you show up when no one is watching. You're no longer being trained just for survival. You're being trained for leadership. You are being elevated from inner chaos to inner command. That's what this challenge is really doing. It's turning you into the kind of person wealth can trust, power can rest upon, favor can follow. And this kind of transformation requires a shedding, a death of everything that is no longer compatible with your assignment. There will be days when it feels like you are losing. But what's really happening is divine subtraction. What's being removed is what cannot support the next level. What's being exposed is what must be healed. What's being triggered is what must be released. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open to a life of truth, of clarity, of divine alignment. And yes, your life will look different. It has to. You cannot be chosen and cling to the ordinary. You cannot carry a kingdom and chase comfort. You cannot rise in spiritual wealth and remain addicted to fear. There is a cost to this calling, but there is also a reward. And the reward is not just material. It is spiritual dominion. It is unshakable peace. It is divine awareness. It is a life led from power, not panic. You will move differently. You will speak differently. You will attract differently, because you are no longer negotiating with your old self. You are choosing your destiny over your doubt. You are choosing vision over validation. You are choosing discipline over drama. You are choosing silence over spectacle. These are the choices that mark the shift. Not loud announcements, but quiet commitments, daily decisions, invisible yeses. That's where transformation truly happens. In the unseen moments where your soul says, I'm not going back. I'm not shrinking. I'm not hiding. And even when no one celebrates you for it, heaven does. Because every time you choose to keep going, another door opens in the spirit. Every time you trust in the absence of proof, another gate swings wide. You are not just building a life, you are moving the atmosphere. You are shifting timelines. You are collapsing cycles that have kept generations bound. That is why this is not small. That is why this is sacred. And still, you must move in faith, not because you feel ready, but because the call is real. Not because you have all the answers, but because your obedience is the answer. The divine isn't waiting on your perfection. It's waiting on your participation. Step by step, word by word, breath by breath, you are creating the bridge between your current life and your destined one. No one else can build it for you. No one else was chosen for your assignment. You were. And the divine does not make mistakes. If you are called, it's because you carry what's required. Even if you can't see it yet. Even if you feel unsure. Especially if you feel scared. Because fear is a doorway, a signal, a sacred point of activation. And on the other side of it is everything you've ever desired. The wealth, the influence, the clarity, the fulfillment. But none of that can reach you unless you cross the threshold. This is where many turn back. They taste the fire and say it's too much. They meet resistance and assume it's a sign to stop. But the truth is this: the fire isn't there to burn you. It's there to test your commitment. The resistance isn't a red light. It's proof that you're on the edge of your expansion. You were never meant to stop here. You were meant to break through. The next level doesn't begin when the challenge ends. It begins when you shift your response to it. This is your activation moment. This is your turning point. Don't let what you see distract you from what's becoming. Don't let the silence convince you it's over. It's only just beginning. The divine doesn't need to shout to create. It simply speaks. And right now, creation is happening in your life, under the surface. Quietly, powerfully, perfectly. Stay present. Stay open. Stay obedient. Your inheritance is not lost. It is waiting for your becoming. And you are becoming, even now. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where the path becomes silent. Not because you're lost, but because you're so close to the breakthrough that the noise must fall away. You are in that place now. The quiet before the doors swing open. The pause before the release. The stillness that surrounds the sacred. Don't mistake the silence for absence. It is divine design. You are being invited into deeper alignment. No more distractions. No more self-sabotage. No more looping in old stories. The challenge you face now is not to prove yourself to others. It is to prove to your own soul that you are ready. Ready to carry the weight of what you asked for. Ready to handle the responsibility of being seen, being heard, being followed, being trusted. That readiness cannot be faked. It must be forged, and you are being forged in fire. This fire doesn't burn you. It builds you. It purifies you. It brings to the surface everything that can't stay. Old patterns, unconscious fears, deep-rooted doubt. The heat you're feeling is divine intelligence in motion, exposing what must be transformed so that your power can rise unchallenged. You prayed for greatness, and the divine said yes. But here's the truth: most don't speak. Greatness is not given. It is grown. And it grows through the challenge. There is no shortcut, no detour, no bypass. Every soul that was ever trusted with true wealth and power walked through this sacred fire. They faced the moments where nothing made sense, but they kept walking. They faced betrayal and chose love. They faced lack and chose abundance. They faced fear and chose faith. This is not about motivation. This is about transformation. Because wealth without identity is wasted. Power without purpose is dangerous. You are not being prepared for fleeting success. You are being prepared for eternal impact. That's why the process feels sacred and brutal at the same time. It is holy because it's heaven ordained, but it is heavy because your legacy is laced in it. There are no minor details now. Everything matters. How you speak, how you think, how you show up when no one is watching. You're no longer being trained just for survival. You're being trained for leadership. You are being elevated from inner chaos to inner command. That's what this challenge is really doing. It's turning you into the kind of person wealth can trust, power can rest upon, favor can follow. And this kind of transformation requires a shedding, a death of everything that is no longer compatible with your assignment. There will be days when it feels like you are losing. But what's really happening is divine subtraction. What's being removed is what cannot support the next level. What's being exposed is what must be healed. What's being triggered is what must be released. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Open to a life of truth, of clarity, of divine alignment. And yes, your life will look different. It has to. You cannot be chosen and cling to the ordinary. You cannot carry a kingdom and chase comfort. You cannot rise in spiritual wealth and remain addicted to fear. There is a cost to this calling, but there is also a reward. And the reward is not just material. It is spiritual dominion. It is unshakable peace. It is divine awareness. It is a life led from power, not panic. You will move differently. You will speak differently. You will attract differently, because you are no longer negotiating with your old self. You are choosing your destiny over your doubt. You are choosing vision over validation. You are choosing discipline over drama. You are choosing silence over spectacle. These are the choices that mark the shift. Not loud announcements, but quiet commitments. Daily decisions, invisible yeses. That's where transformation truly happens. In the unseen moments where your soul says, I'm not going back, I'm not shrinking, I'm not hiding. And even when no one celebrates you for it, heaven does, because every time you choose to keep going, another door opens in the spirit. Every time you trust in the absence of proof, another gate swings wide. You are not just building a life, you are moving the atmosphere. You are shifting timelines. You are collapsing cycles that have kept generations bound. That is why this is not small. That is why this is sacred. And still, you must move in faith. Not because you feel ready, but because the call is real. Not because you have all the answers, but because your obedience is the answer. The divine isn't waiting on your perfection. It's waiting on your participation, step by step, word by word, breath by breath. You are creating the bridge between your current life and your destined one. No one else can build it for you. No one else was chosen for your assignment. You were. And the divine does not make mistakes. If you were called, it's because you carry what's required. Even if you can't see it yet, even if you feel unsure, especially if you feel scared, because fear is a doorway, a signal, a sacred point of activation. And on the other side of it is everything you've ever desired, the wealth, the influence, the clarity, the fulfillment. But none of that can reach you unless you cross the threshold. This is where many turn back. They taste the fire and say it's too much. They meet resistance and assume it's a sign to stop. But the truth is this: the fire isn't there to burn you. It's there to test your commitment. The resistance isn't a red light. It's proof that you're on the edge of your expansion. You were never meant to stop here. You were meant to break through. The next level doesn't begin when the challenge ends. It begins when you shift your response to it. This is your activation moment. This is your turning point. Don't let what you see distract you from what's becoming. Don't let the silence convince you it's over. It's only just beginning. The divine doesn't need to shout to create. It simply speaks. And right now, creation is happening in your life, under the surface, quietly, powerfully, perfectly. Stay present. Stay open. Stay obedient. Your inheritance is not lost. It is waiting for your becoming. And you are becoming, even now. By now, something inside you has shifted, not because someone gave you permission, but because your soul remembered who it is. The layers of fear, shame, hesitation, they are thinning. The illusion of limitation is cracking. You are seeing more clearly now, not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. And what you see is this: the challenge you face is not a punishment. It is a passage, a sacred passage into your highest timeline. This timeline does not begin when things are easy. It begins when you choose alignment over avoidance. When you choose to rise, not because life handed you a crown, but because your soul knew it was already wearing one. This level of power doesn't make sense to the mind. It is not a product of logic. It is a manifestation of obedience, a result of choosing what feels true, even when it feels terrifying. Because at this level, the divine no longer whispers what to do. It invites you to become what must be done. This is where your identity transcends effort. You no longer hustle for validation. You no longer perform to be seen. You no longer contort your light to fit into systems that were never designed for your brilliance. You simply are, and that being moves mountains. That being attracts miracles. That being aligns you with the blueprint written for you long before you were born. But before you fully step into that being, there is one last layer to burn through: the fear of your own power. This is the most subtle and seductive fear of all. The fear of what will happen if you truly become everything you are. If you actually succeed, if you become visible, influential, responsible. It's not failure you fear, it's the weight of becoming undeniable. Because part of you still wonders, can I hold it? Can I carry that much energy, that much responsibility, that much abundance? And the answer is yes, but not as the version of you that's asking the question. You are still shedding, still evolving, still integrating. That's why this part of the challenge is so disorienting. You're walking with the new you still forming and the old you still clinging, and both are screaming. One is saying, play it safe. The other is whispering, break the cycle. Only one of them leads to your wealth. Only one of them carries your crown. You know which one it is. And choosing it means walking in divine authority. Even when you feel uncertain, it means deciding that nothing can distract you from your assignment. Not confusion, not rejection, not delay, not comparison. You are not here to measure yourself against anyone else. You are here to become the fullest expression of what the divine placed in you, unapologetically, unwaveringly, completely. You are not chasing wealth. You are the wealth. You are not hoping for power. You are the power. Everything you thought was outside of you is simply waiting for you to rise internally. Because when you do, the external shifts effortlessly. It's not that the blessings weren't ready. It's that the old version of you couldn't access them. This is the hidden truth most people never realize. Your greatest breakthrough is not something you chase. It's something you unlock by embodying your true self. An embodiment is expensive. It costs your comfort. It costs your illusions. It costs your excuses. But what it gives in return is unmatched, a life that mirrors the magnitude of your soul. That life is not distant. It's on the other side of your decision. A decision to stop shrinking. A decision to stop outsourcing your authority. A decision to stop living for weekends and waiting for signs. You are the sign. You are the moment. You are the messenger. And the more you trust that, the faster your reality bends to match it. This is the quantum nature of divine destiny. Things shift when you shift. That's why your inner world is being restructured. That's why you feel emotions rise unexpectedly, old memories surfacing, strange energy purging through your body. It's not chaos, it's calibration. You are being fine-tuned to a new frequency, one that matches the wealth and power you've always carried, but were not yet aligned with. This is not just mindset work. This is soul work, energetic work, identity work, and it's sacred. Because when you stabilize in this new frequency, everything changes. Doors open before you knock. Resources show up before you ask. People align without force. Opportunities find you because your energy emits a signal that says, "I'm ready," not intellectually, not temporarily, but vibrationally, fully, eternally. That readiness is what this challenge has been constructing within you all along. You thought you were fighting battles, but you were building a bridge. You thought you were being tested, but you were being trained. And now the training is near completion. You are at the cusp of convergence, the place where your internal truth becomes your external life. Not just glimpses of alignment, but sustained, sovereign living, where you wake up with purpose, where you walk with clarity, where you speak, and it is done. This is what wealth looks like when it's rooted in divinity. This is what power becomes when it's held by someone who has faced the fire and did not run. And yes, you still feel human. You still feel the tremble. That's how you know you're close. Because divine expansion is always paired with human humility. The soul rises and the body learns to hold it. That's the balance. That's the beauty. And that's why the chosen ones are few. Not everyone is willing to carry both power and presence with integrity. But you are. You've been refined for this. You've been prepared in silence, in solitude, in sacred suffering. You've already paid the price. And now you are arriving at the gates. The light is shifting. The pressure is peaking. Because something is about to break. And not a breaking down, a breaking open, into billions, into blessing, into bold, boundless becoming. Stay here. Don't flinch. Don't freeze. Don't fold. What you feel right now is not fear. It's energy building, waiting for you to say yes one more time. Say yes. There comes a moment, sacred and rare, when everything aligns. Not because the world outside has changed, but because you have. That moment is now. You've passed through fire. You've stood in the silence. You've chosen truth over comfort, obedience over chaos. And in doing so, you have become the one thing the darkness cannot touch. Undeniable. You are no longer trying to become worthy of wealth and power. You are no longer chasing validation. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. Because you have remembered, you were the chosen one all along. The divine didn't select you by accident. It didn't place that calling in you as a tease or a test. It was a confirmation, a signature on the scroll of your destiny. And everything you've walked through, the pain, the isolation, the waiting, the breaking, it was the initiation, the anointing, the unlocking of the blueprint hidden within your being. You are not a seeker anymore. You are a carrier, a portal, a force. Your life is no longer a question mark. It is a declaration. a living broadcast to the universe that says, I made it through. I honored the challenge. I answered the call. And now I walk in divine command. Because this is what happens when the chosen one passes the test. Heaven responds, the earth yields, the gates open. You become magnetic to every resource, every opportunity, every connection aligned with your purpose. Not because you manipulated the system, but because you became the system. You aligned your entire being with the frequency of fulfillment. And now, nothing can be withheld from you. You have become a clear channel. You speak and reality bends. You move and doors fly open. You think and manifestations obey. Not because of luck, but because you have proven that your power is pure, your wealth is sacred, your influence is for impact. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. The work has already spoken for you, and it will continue to speak, because the legacy you are building doesn't start with material. It starts with energy, with decision, with identity. That is why this journey was never about just receiving wealth. It was about becoming wealth. Because what you become, you never lose. What you integrate, you never fear. What you are, you no longer seek. So now, you walk forward, not as the seeker, but as the embodiment. You no longer ask if the promise is real. You are the promise. You no longer hope things will change. You are the change. Your words create. Your silence holds power. Your vision is clear. Your pace is divine. You move by command, not by convenience. And the divine moves with you. Because now, the universe recognizes your frequency. It bows to your becoming. It rearranges in your favor. Not because it pities you, but because it trusts you. You've proven yourself trustworthy. That's what this challenge was really about. The divine didn't need to see what you could do. It needed to see what you would do without knowing the outcome. And now that you've chosen obedience without guarantee, you will never lack again. Lack was a teacher. Delay was a furnace. Doubt was the mirror you had to shatter. But those things are behind you now. You are on the other side. The timeline has locked in. The gates are responding. The shift has become irreversible. You will not go back. The old cycles cannot hold you. The old mindsets cannot shape you. The old environments cannot define you. You are too expanded, too rooted, too awakened. And what is coming to you now is not a reward. It's alignment, a return, a sacred compensation for every unseen act of faith. For every time you chose light in the dark. For every moment you kept walking when quitting would have been easier. You're not just blessed. You're anchored. You're not just powerful. You're postured. You're not just abundant. You're available for overflow. From this place, miracles are not events. They are patterns. Manifestation is not luck. It is law. Wealth is not a dream. It is your default. You no longer negotiate with scarcity. You no longer dance with delay. You no longer flirt with fear. Everything in your energy is consecrated, coherent, commanding. You are not afraid of your power anymore. You walk in it. And as you walk, others will rise, not because you tell them to, but because your life will be a blueprint, a lighthouse, a living frequency that awakens others to their own divine assignment. This is how your wealth becomes generational. This is how your influence becomes transformational. Not because you shout, but because your presence speaks. You've crossed over. You've taken the test. And heaven has recorded your yes. Now, prepare to receive. Receive not just money, but movement. Not just favor, but fulfillment. Not just opportunity, but omnipresence. The kind of life where your soul never questions its value again. The kind of power that no one can take, because it was never given by man. The kind of wealth that builds not just your house, but your heaven on earth. You have passed the sacred challenge, and in doing so, you have proven what the divine knew all along. You were born for this, and now all that's left is for you to claim it.